Hello guys, LEGO here, and in today's video I have a 2024 Monkey Kid review, and this is of set number 80056, the 9-headed beast. This set contains 5 minifigures, 3 builds, and comes with 757 pieces. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at the set. So our first side build within the set is a sort of mini pagoda, sort of Shinto shrine almost. And this is quite a nice little addition, and one thing that sort of stands out about it the most is the fact that it is actually compatible with the Monkey Kid modular system. So as you can see, it's got some of the Technic pins here, and you can basically put this or combine it with, say, the Team Hideout or the City of Lanterns and the Megapolis. I can't remember what it's called, but the one from this year. So yeah, it is actually compatible with those sets, so that's quite cool. But now let's actually take a look at it. As you can see, it's quite a simplistic build, mostly using black and sort of tan as its main colour scheme, as well as golden accents. And we actually have one of the collectibles of this wave, which is the sort of colour stones, which is used by the Chinese goddess Nuwa to basically heal the damaged pillars of heaven. So that's sort of the lore behind them. I'd assume that's going to carry over into the Monkey Kid show, or whether it's just going to be something completely different. But that's sort of what I've read online about what these are supposed to represent. But they've done a really nice job with the awning here on the roof, just using some of the simple curved pieces that you would see in other sort of sets using this style of roofing. And as well, just continuing up to the top here, just some sort of tranquilic designs, which is really cool, combining in some of this gold here. And I also really like these new pieces that they use. They're like the 2x2 sort of jumper tiles, but they've got this little like lip to it, so it kind of looks a bit more sort of like it's designed to be a step rather than just being like a typical piece. It's actually sort of meant for this sort of purpose, to give it some sort of texture and sort of an elegant design. So that's really cool. And on the inside here, you can actually see the goddess Nuwa on this sticker piece in the background here. So it sort of gives you an indication of what this sort of stone is being used for, and it's just held on top of this little altar in the middle. Just flipping it around, it's just not much to say about it here, just sort of like covering up some of the details. But yeah, that's the first side build. So our second build is actually a build for one of the characters, and that is obviously MK here. As you can see him piloting a mini-mech, and yet this is a little mini-mech for MK, and I really like how this one turned out. Even though it's quite typical now that MK gets a lot of sets for himself, and obviously especially mechs as well. But this is just a nice complementary build to the main set. Especially because it's supposed to be sort of like this flying mech, because it has some little wings here, as well as a little jetpack with a sticker detailing on the neck, so nice shield there. So it's really cool. Obviously more sticker detailing on the little wings here. So it's obviously supposed to give you something to just combat the 9-headed beast straight out of the box, so you don't have to buy any other sets if you didn't want to. And it's just got a really simple design here, with using mixel joints for the legs and the ankles. So there's not really any crazy articulation, but it is quite posable for what you are getting here. And one of the arms just has a stud shooter, which obviously works like so. And then the second arm, being a bit more articulated and a bit more functional, is like this little hook arm, or this claw arm rather. So there's these two sort of robot arms with these little nub pieces, and it's just supposed to be like a little claw. It's kind of really difficult to actually hold anything in the claw, but you can obviously just pretend, and it does look quite interesting. And there is a clip on the side for the golden hoop staff if you don't want to just sort of throw it to the side and put it in a box or whatever. And then MK just slots on this little sort of guide rail piece with some tiles here, so it doesn't scratch against any just open studs, which is and he's held in place, by this little harness that comes down, which is just a simple build out, some handlebar pieces and lightsaber hilts. So that is the two side builds you get, and now let's move on to the actual 9-headed beast. So here's the 9-headed beast, and the first thing I want to sort of say about this is the colour scheme, and that being the fact that it's extremely unique for the Monkey Kid theme and just sort of LEGO fantasy themes in general. So the main colour scheme here is dark green, as well as this teal colour, and with some some sort of complementary like lighter greens and oranges, as you can see throughout the build that you'll see later on as well. But I feel like that makes it really stand out against other Monkey Kid sets and other sort of fantasy LEGO themes such as Ninjago, especially in builds regarding sort of animals such as like dragons or whatever. But I feel like that gives this set another sort of merit, and again makes it stand out against other sets, and sort of gives a reason for you to get this and put this in your collection. But first things first, let's look at the 9 heads, which is the sort of main characteristic of this beast. So here we can see the main head actually has another one of these jewels, which again is just the same dual molded piece but in transparent blue instead of red. So that just clips on this stud here at the front of the forehead. And I really like how they've done the main head here, which is just the most central one, but they've put it on this ratchet joint so you can get some good articulation from 360-degree rotation and just moving up and down. And as well, I really like the printed eyepiece here with the striking yellow eye with the orange slit pupil. But it just gives it a really menacing look, and as well with this sort of armor plating on the side to give it more makes it look a little bit regal almost. But again, some sticker detailing here on these dark green curved pieces, but I feel like the shaping of the head is really good. And they've used some of the orange claw pieces as some like feathers, just for some extra detailing there. And I really like these bits up here just to look like more feathers on the top, and they're just the tooth pieces in that teal colour. And they used the sort of the small car headlight pieces as the sort of brow of the build. So that's really cool as well. And probably one of my favourite parts is the beak. And it sort of emulates that of a parrot where it sort of curves down and it gives it some nice shaping and definition. And then the bottom jaw actually does have some articulation. So it is extremely limited, and it is the only head that contains any, but it gets some sort of nice emotion into the build, and obviously an extra bit of playability, so you can imagine it eating something or whatever. Then moving to the medium-sized heads, these ones have a bit more free range of motion because they have 2 points of articulation, one at the sort of body and one at the base of the neck. So you can, sorry about that, you can get it in lots of different varying angles. So it is just a bit more posable, but at the cost of obviously more detail and the fact that it's smaller as well. But again, they use that printed eyepiece on both sides, as well as the same sort of sticker detailing but on a smaller scale there. And then the beak sort of carries over with that sort of curved tip, but this time rather than being grey, it's all in red. And then the smallest heads, there are 6 of these, and they all just are pointed on different angles on these robot arms here. And they also use these eyepieces, so that's really cool, as well as using the leaf piece and teal, as some sort of back of the head feathers, just to give it some sort of definition and character. And the beak is also really well done for this such small scale, using the sort of chili pepper or like claw tooth piece, but in red. So it still curves down, but then it's just finished off with this tooth piece at the bottom, just to close it all up. And obviously the 2 smaller scale heads do not have any jaw articulation. Then take a look further just behind the neck, or their multiple heads, is this little sticker detail, and as well an area to actually place the 9-headed the 9-headed demon minifigure. So all you do is, as you can see, there's these grey studs, and you just place your figure here, in this case obviously the 9-headed demon. So you can put a minifigure on here if you like to, or you can completely omit it. It doesn't detract away from the build. So they've integrated some sort of accessibility for minifigures really well without detracting from the build at all. Then another part that I really like about the set is the actual wings. And they do use a vinyl sort of metallic wing piece, but it just adds to the detail. And I'm really glad they chose to go with this option. But you can see there's lots of sort of armouring, and you can almost imagine this is one of the heads, just in a sort of more artistic styling, just coming from the wing, and there's obviously lots of armour and chains all over it, as well as the same insignia that you see up here, which is also on the minifigure, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, they've done this really, really well, and I especially love the wing builds. And again, just extending more with the detail, they used the crystallite blade pieces but in teal, just to sort of increase the size of the wingspan and give it a more impressive sort of look. But one thing I really like, they've actually integrated a sort of flapping or flying feature. As you can see, there's these red leather pieces, and as you press down, the wings will raise, and obviously when you let go, so you can obviously get a realistic flapping motion like a bird. So that's really, really cool. And obviously when you're sort of soaring through the sky, you can flap that leather as much as you want. And then taking a further look down towards the tail, we can just see some sort of greebling and sort of smoothing out of details. And I really like the part uses of these sort of rock claw pieces, just to look like feathers sort of clumping up towards the tail. Again with some more sticker detailing just to give it some more armour and a bit more extra detail. And then coming to the tail, it's a bit like a giant parrot's tail, where you actually do get a bit of articulation, some lateral but mostly vertical. And again, they've used these crystallized blade pieces just to create the sort of form or the forking of the tail here. So that's really, really cool. And there is an accessory port here, just using a golden clip, which is for the trident of the nine-headed demon. So if you want to put that on while you have the minifigure riding the the bird, sorry, you can do so. Then moving to the underside, they knocked that off. They actually did do some extra detailing. So they used mostly this light green as the underbelly. But there's this grey area here, which I've actually put a sticker on, which is just some extra detail that you're not really going to see often. But it's, again, a nice inclusion to see. And obviously shows they weren't really skimping out on the detail in the set, and they really went all in. But if I just raise the wing again, so you can get a better look at the legs. And these are also really cool. I like having more sort of flying, sort of dragon bird creatures that are more bipedal rather than having 4 legs. And it just gives it a unique look, and obviously sets it apart from other LEGO dragons that we've got, especially from the Ninjago and Monkie Kid theme. But they've given sort of a nice natural angle with a bend in the leg to give it this sort of bird-like look where the knee actually bends backwards rather than forwards, so that's really cool. And again with just some more sticker detailing just to give you that sort of look of armour, as well as at the top of the thigh here where the hip is, they've got this just big dome armour piece just to round it off and obviously hide it from the articulation joint. So there is actually a good range of motion here, so that's really nice, and obviously it helps with sort of posability and display. So that's another really good thing about the set, is the articulation. Then moving down to the talons, there is some backwards and forwards motion, but there is no lateral motion in the foot. But I really like with the talons how you can actually individually pose each claw. So you can actually hold a minifigure within the claws. So you can imagine he's swooping down. Obviously in this case it probably wouldn't help that it's the sort of main villain, but as you can see his headpiece did fall off, but you can actually grab minifigures with this talons. So that's a really cool feature, and you can imagine him dropping them down or whatever, or swooping in and collecting them. So I really like that about the talons, and obviously they've got a wide surface area, so you're never going to have any trouble with balance with this build. So yeah, that's the 9-headed beast. Sorry, I keep saying dragon because I'm so used to Ninjago, but yeah, that's the 9-headed beast. So now let's move on to the minifigures. So here we have the sort of, I guess, the standout minifigure of the set, and also the main villain is the 9-headed demon. So this is one of the new antagonists of the Monkie Kid 2024 sets, and obviously presumably is going to be in the show. But I really, really love this minifigure, and I'm really glad that it's available in multiple sets and not exclusive to one. So he does come with one accessory, just being this sort of simple trident build. Obviously, just take a quick look, it's not really much to talk about, but again, he adopts the same colour scheme as the main build of using the teal, dark green and the orange as the colour scheme. But as well as that, he's using some of the spring green as his sort of skin and sort of flesh tone, I guess you could say. But as you can see, you got some of that sort of regal detailing from that symbol on his robe, as well as some really cool patterns just going along it, and as well as some sort of belt detailing down here, as well as some really cool leg detailing, which you can sort of presume this is some sort of robe that he's wearing. And he has 2 different coloured arms, one orange and one teal, so you could sort of imagine he's sort of half covered by this robe and the rest is sort of coming off. But he does have the newer style of the sort of tattered cape, so it's not like the old one which had lots of different holes going through it, so it's all one piece, but it's still sort of tattered and frayed at the end, just to give it that sort of ragged, sort of run down look that this character is going for. And it is obviously in that the newer sort of really soft felt, so you're not really going to crease or bend it, so you can move it around a lot at will. And the back detailing is really just really good, rather, with just some more of those trinkets, sort of that symbol again, with some armour at the top here being revealed beneath the robe, and as well as just that robe detailing continuing around from the front. But probably the main cool thing about this minifigure is the sort of headdress piece. And obviously in Chinese mythology, the 9-headed demon is actually like a snake, and he's kind of like Medusa here, with these lots of different snakes coming down in his hair, just the 3 on the top, and there's 2 down here, and as well as a couple like snake tails at the back. And that's in that dark green colour, so it's all one colour and sort of one mould. But his face print is also really cool with these sort of, this like sort of, I don't know how to explain, like jagged jaw, and it sort of looks like a turtle mouth. If anyone knows what a kappa is, that's what it reminds me of, with some sort of fangs at the bottom. So he's got a really angry sort of snarling expression. Then turning it around, he's just got more of a neutral closed mouth expression here, so you have a bit of choice of what you want your figure to look like. So that's the 9-headed demon. Let's move on to the next minifigure. So our next character being MK, and obviously he's the main character of the show, and I'm pretty sure this is a brand new minifigure for the summer wave of 2024. So his accessory is the golden hoop staff, which is obviously common for him now, that he usually gets in every set that he's included in. But this is the 2020 style rather than the 2023 style with the specially moulded hilt pieces. So these are just the extended lightsaber hilt blades with the red rod in the middle. So it's a bit more sleek, and I quite sometimes sort of prefer this one just for the size, and it's a lot more compact than the other. But again, with MK, he always has extremely detailed minifigures, and this is obviously no exception here. Obviously with the dual moulded legs, this sort of super dense detailing on the torso, and as well as his dual moulded hairpiece. But I really like his sort of jacket here, where he has this big sort of pouch in the middle with his little logo there, with just a teal top, and as well as the zip that's going down here. And again, my favourite part of the Monkie Kid figures, or the MK figures specifically, is always how he gets dual moulded legs with these black boots and red trousers, just with some immense detailing here, especially see on the toes and the knees, and obviously towards the belt as well. Just so much detail packed into one figure. Then on the back, he does have his sort of classic Monkey King logo with the smiling monkey on the back with some silver teeth, which is really cool, which is actually reflective. And that's just a common trope of a lot of his suits that you'll see. And obviously, of course, he has his dual moulded hair and headband piece with the sort of golden ring around his head. That's obviously a callback to the original Journey to the West. And I'm not sure whether his face prints are exclusive or not to this, or they've been used before. But he has this sort of angry, sort of shouting face, which is quite cool. I don't think I have this expression if it has been reused, and obviously typical, he's just got this sort of smiling, winking face. So it wouldn't be a Monkey Kid figure without some sort of happy expression. So that is MK. Next up we have Tang, and to be honest, this is probably my least favourite minifigure of the set, just because it's quite simple and not very exciting. He does come with an accessory, which was a chicken leg piece, but I don't know what I've done with it, and if you're a fan of LEGO, you know what that looks like. But yeah, he's just got this sort of simple sort of winter design, where he's got this really fluffy coat and a scarf, just with some unprinted legs here, and his typical hairstyle with his glasses face print. And I think this is obviously one we've seen before, because I recognise this sort of sleeping or like meditating face that I've got from other sets, but correct me if I'm wrong if this is a brand new face print or not. So that's what it looks like on the other side. And then just removing the scarf so you can get a better look at the torso of his coat. There you go. So it's a very simple design, not very interesting, especially comparatively to the other figures in the set and just in the theme in general. Second to last, we have a new version of May, which is really, really cool. It's this sort of casual outfit, and I really like when we get the casual versions of each character, and this is a really great version of May. She has this really cool sort of overall design. Her legs are unprinted, which is quite unfortunate to see, but I don't really mind, because it's obviously just going to be sort of general sort of denim detailing if they were to be printed. But she's got this really awesome like plushy dragon printed on her front torso there, which I assume that's what that's meant to be. But yeah, just covering up the overalls, and she's got a little jacket on behind there. But I really like that mini sort of chibi, almost like little dragon plushie that she has on her torso. Then this is where you can obviously tell it's supposed to be some sort of overalls or dungarees, where she's got one of the straps undone with a sword belt or like scabbard going along it. Then she does come with a white dragon sword sword, sorry. Just with the white dragon hilt with the green blade piece. I can't remember what it's actually called in the show, but I always really like getting that piece just because I love the hilt piece in general. But she has a typical pigtail hair pieces with the green little tips at the end. I really like this hair piece, and obviously fits the character really well. But again, same with MK. I'm not sure whether this is a brand new face print or one that's been reused from previous Mace figures. But she just has this really simple smiling expression, then a more disgruntled, sort of angry, aggravated look. So again, similar to Tang, it's not as interesting as some of the either the nine-headed demon or Monkie Kid in this set, but it's probably one of my favourite figures just because of how I love the casual versions of each of the characters. Then last but not least, we have this brand new and very unique version of the Monkie King, aka Sun Wukong. So before we move on to the figure, he just comes with this accessory, which is just basically a banana on a stick, which is probably used to lure the nine-headed demon, or the nine-headed beast rather, or maybe just for himself, he wants to have a banana while he's chilling. But yeah, one thing that you'll see from the sets, if you've seen any other reviews, is a lot of the figures have these sort of like tracksuits. And there's one for each of the main characters, obviously for MK, May, Sandy, Tang, and Pigsy. As well as obviously here, what's his name? Sun Wukong. So everyone does get one. But obviously he's the only one in this set that gets one. But the others are in the Celestial Pagoda. But as you can see, the main sort of colour scheme is like the silver, which is really cool. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I feel like it obviously just has some nice continuity between all of the characters to give them a similar suit, like they did last year with the sort of power armor. I'm not sure what it's actually called, but it's this sort of similar concept. But he's just got this sort of simple jacket detailing, like a tracksuit with some shoes and a little drawstring, and he is labelled as number 3, so each character has their own unique number. But one thing I like how they've done these figures are how they're subtly different between one another. So they're not all just complete repeats of each other. They do have some unique characteristics that are exclusive to their character and like attributes. So yeah, not really much I want to say about this minifigure. He has his simple tail piece, and I think Monkie Kid actually has, the Monkey King has some new face prints, which I'm pretty sure of. One of this just sort of shocked, like open mouth expression. And then turning it around. Just a more serious sort of stern look, like he's ready for some combat. But yeah, again, not as detailed as, say, the nine-headed demon or MK, but another nice inclusion, and it obviously goes well with other minifigures within this wave. So, wrapping this review up, this is another LEGO set, and especially LEGO Monkey Kid set that I'm overly satisfied with. Especially just because of the unique concept of the build, obviously just have the fact that it has 9 heads, and they've accomplished that concept really, really well in this scale. And as well as the overall colour scheme, so it stands out against most of the other Monkey Kid sets and any other sort of fancy sets, especially in my case, the Ninjago sets I have within my collection. So it's a really standout set in that regard, but also you get a good selection of minifigures, a nice amount to complement the set, as well as obviously getting one of the main villains. So you have a bit more options when it comes to that, and as well as these 2 nice side builds, which one actually goes with the Monkey Kid modular system. So I would definitely recommend this set to Monkey Kid fans especially, but also if you're just looking for a really cool sort of fancy like dragon-esque build, this one I would definitely pick over any other ones that are currently on shelf, just because of how cool it is and obviously the concept being amazing. And when I went to the LEGO store to get some sets for the new wave, I was fully expected to get some Ninjago sets, but I saw this one there, and especially from reviews I've seen, I just had to pick this one up, which is just, again, a testament to how great I think this set is. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave any comments down below what you think about the set, and like the video. And without further ado, I'm going to end the video, and goodbye.